Hi, I'm Hannah, a 34-year-old graphic designer. My sister Elena, who's 38, and I have always been very close. She's married to Mark, a real estate agent, and they have two kids, Lily, who's 8, and Owen, who's 5. From the outside, Elena's life looks perfect, but I've always sensed something off about Mark. He's charming at first glance, but there's a coldness beneath the surface, especially when it comes to supporting Elena emotionally. Mark is obsessed with appearances and money, often focusing on his career while neglecting his family. He's always on his phone or out networking. I spend a lot of time at their house, helping Elena with the kids, and I've noticed how distant Mark is. When he interacts with them, it seems more out of obligation than genuine interest. One day, Mark suddenly brought up refinancing a mortgage. Elena, already stressed from work, brushed it off, but Mark was insistent, as if their finances were the only thing that mattered. It struck me as odd, especially with everything else Elena was juggling. Later, at the park with the kids, I asked Elena if Mark's behavior bothered her. She shrugged it off, saying he was just stressed, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The way Mark prioritized money and status over his family left a bad taste in my mouth. I knew this calm couldn't last forever. Then came the call, early in the morning, the kind you never want to receive. Elena's voice was trembling, filled with fear. I went to the doctor yesterday. It's cancer, Hannah. Stage 3 breast cancer. My heart sank. It felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. What did they say? What's the next step? I asked, trying to steady myself. They want to start treatment immediately. Chemo, surgery, everything. They're hopeful, but it's bad, Hannah. It's really bad. Elena's diagnosis hit us like a ton of bricks. I rushed to her house, where she sat at the kitchen table, pale and frightened. We're going to fight this, I told her, trying to be strong, but something was off. Mark was acting colder than usual. Instead of comforting Elena, Mark started talking about selling their house. We need to downsize and prepare for the worst, he said bluntly, as if it were just another business deal. Elena was stunned. Mark, this is our home. We can't just sell it. The kids need stability right now. But Mark was adamant, having already spoken to a realtor and pushing hard to move forward with the sale. As days passed, Mark's behavior grew more suspicious. He was constantly on his phone, making secretive calls, and leaving the house without explanation. My unease turned to alarm when I overheard him discussing liquidating assets. I knew I had to investigate further. I soon uncovered the truth. Mark had listed their house for sale without telling Elena and was transferring money into a separate account, planning to leave her and the kids once the house sold. I couldn't let him get away with this. The more I thought about what he was doing, the angrier I got. I knew I had to act quickly before he finalized his plans, but I couldn't do it alone. Elena needed to see the truth, even though it would break her heart. Elena, we need to talk, I said, sitting her down at the kitchen table, my hands shaking from what I had uncovered. What is it, Hannah? You look like you've seen a ghost. I took a deep breath. It's about Mark. I think he's planning to leave you and the kids. Her eyes widened in shock. No, he wouldn't. I mean, he's been distant, but we're just going through a rough patch. He wouldn't do that. I wish that were true, Elena, I said. But I found proof. He's already listed the house for sale and is moving money into a separate account. He's been planning this for a while. Tears welled up in her eyes. No, it can't be. Why would he do that? How could he? We've been together for so long. I know it's hard to believe, but I have all the evidence. I'm sorry, Elena, but you need to see this for what it is. He's not the man you thought he was. I don't understand why now, why when I'm going through this. How could he be so heartless? Because he's a coward, Elena. He's running away from his responsibilities, from you and the kids, but we're not going to let him get away with it. She wiped her eyes, trying to regain her composure. What do we do now? I can't just sit here and let him destroy everything we've built. We're going to fight back, I said firmly. But we need to be smart about it, I said firmly. I've already contacted a lawyer and a financial advisor. They're going to help us protect your assets and gather all the evidence we need to confront him. We'll make sure he doesn't get a dime of what's yours. Elena nodded, a new determination lighting up her eyes. I can't believe I ever trusted him, but I'm not going to let him ruin my life, not after everything I've been through. Good, I replied. But we need to be careful. We can't let him know we're onto him. We'll let him think his plan is working while we gather everything we need to take him down." It didn't take long to uncover the full extent of his betrayal. Mark had been seeing another woman for months, someone he'd met through his real estate work. He was planning to sell the house, take the money, and start a new life with her, leaving Elena and the kids with nothing. The more we dug, the more disgusted I became. One evening, after Mark had left for one of his secret meetings, Elena and I sat down to finalize our plan. "We're going to confront him," I said. "But we need to do it in a way that he can't talk his way out of." Elena looked at me with steely resolve. "How?" "At the next family gathering," I said, "in front of everyone. He won't be able to lie or manipulate his way out of it if there are witnesses." A grim smile spread across Elena's face. "Good. I want everyone to see him for what he really is." The plan was set. We would wait for the perfect moment when Mark was least expecting it and expose him in front of everyone. There would be no escape for him, no way to hide his betrayal. The day of the family gathering arrived, and the tension was palpable. Everyone had gathered at our parents' house, a place that had always been filled with warmth and love. Today, however, there was an undercurrent of anticipation and perhaps even fear. Mark, as usual, was smug and completely unaware of the storm about to hit him. Elena and I had rehearsed this moment countless times, but now that it was here, I could see the anxiety creeping into her eyes. Mark stood up to make some meaningless small talk, holding a glass of wine and flashing that fake smile of his. I could feel my anger boiling inside me, but I kept my composure. We had to do this right. "Mark, we need to talk," Elena said, her voice stronger than it had been in weeks. He looked at her, a slight frown forming on his face. "Can it wait?" I was just about to. "No," Elena cut him off, standing up slowly. "It can't wait. It's about the house. About everything." Mark's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" I stood up beside Elena, pulling out the stack of documents we had prepared. "We know what you've been doing, Mark. The secret accounts, the plans to sell the house, the other woman. It's all right here." The room fell silent. Everyone was staring at us, confused and shocked. Mark's eyes darted around, searching for a way out, but there wasn't one. "You've been planning to leave us," Elena continued, her voice trembling with anger. "You were going to sell the house, take the money, and leave me and the kids with nothing. And you were going to do it while I'm fighting for my life." Mark tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. He glanced at his parents, then at mine, desperately seeking support, but all he received were cold, accusing stares. "It's not what you think," he finally stammered. "I was just trying to." "To what?" I snapped. "Abandon your wife and children, steal everything they have, and run off with your mistress. Don't even try to lie your way out of this, Mark. We have all the proof we need." Elena handed him the papers. As he flipped through them, I could see the panic setting in. He knew he was finished. "You've made your choices, Mark," Elena said, her voice steady now. "And now you're going to face the consequences." Before he could respond, our lawyer walked into the room, a stern look on his face. "Mark, these papers are for you. You've been served. Elena is filing for divorce, and all your assets are frozen. You won't be able to touch a single cent." Mark's face turned ashen, his confidence evaporating as he looked like he was about to collapse. "You can't do this. This isn't fair," he stammered. "Fair?" Elena shot back, her eyes blazing. "You want to talk about fair after everything you've done? No, Mark, this is justice. This is what happens when you betray your family." Mark's parents tried to intervene, but our lawyer quickly shut them down. "I'd advise you to stay out of this, Mr. and Mrs. Richards. Your son's actions have consequences, and he's going to have to deal with them." The room fell into a deathly silence as Mark realized there was no escape. His life was crumbling around him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Defeated, he slumped into a chair, the weight of his actions finally sinking in. "I'm sorry," he mumbled, his voice barely audible. But Elena wasn't having it. "Sorry doesn't change what you did. Sorry doesn't make up for the pain you've caused. You're going to pay for this, Mark, and no apology will fix it." As the reality of his situation hit him, Mark's entire demeanor changed. The confidence and arrogance were gone, leaving a broken man. Everyone in the room could see it. In the days that followed, Mark's life unraveled completely. His reputation in the real estate world was ruined as news of his betrayal spread. His mistress, who had only been interested in his money, left him the moment she realized he had nothing left. Mark lost his job, his friends, everything. Meanwhile, Elena began the slow process of healing. She focused on her treatments, determined to beat the cancer that had threatened to take everything from her. With the divorce proceedings underway, she gained full custody of the kids, and Mark was legally barred from accessing any of the family's finances. I stood by her side through it all, helping her rebuild her life piece by piece. It wasn't easy. There were days when the weight of it all felt overwhelming. But Elena was strong, stronger than she ever knew. One evening, after another long day of treatments and legal battles, we stood together in her backyard, watching Lily and Owen play. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over everything. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I saw Elena smile. A real, genuine smile. "We made it," she said quietly, squeezing my hand. "We survived." I nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. "Yeah, we did. The story has ended, but here's a question for you all. If you discovered that someone close to you was planning to betray you at your most vulnerable moment, would you confront them publicly like Elena did, or would you handle it privately? What would you do differently in her situation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.